picture? I don't know. Hey people online, welcome to the craziness. We're late, not because of technical difficulties, but because about 35 seconds ago I was shoving my face full of tacos. And so we just needed to get that out of the way before we started this little shindig. So sorry that I'm 5 minutes late to start. Let's just pray and then we'll get into this thing. Heavenly Father, I thank you so much for this time. I thank you so much for your word, and Lord, I pray that we use it properly. Lord, I pray that it is a lamp for our feet and a light for our path. And Lord, I pray as we continue our march through this book that we are not seeking to conquer it, but to allow it to conquer us. It's in Jesus' name I pray. Amen. Alrighty. I am going to, give me like 1 second, I'm going to make sure that everything looks like it's on. The live is going, so that's good. This goes for anybody. It's Beulah people in general who have our app. If you are an Apple user, that is. I had to update something on Apple's app developer thing again today. I had to submit something, and they said that now that that's submitted, they will get the certificates going, so we will have notifications soon. I tried to send out a notification that should have went at noon, so if you didn't get one from the app and you have the app, and you have an Apple device, it's because some certificates were out of date. La-di-da, I don't know anything about that. But they're fixing it. He said the email I got said it would be like a week before that was probably like back fixed and right and whatever, but at least it'll be fixed so we can know what the heck's going on. So, that's all that I've got to say about that. Forrest Gump. Revelation week 9. This week's going to look a little differently. No, that's not right. It's going to look a little different only because one of you, can you be the monitors of the chats so I can make sure I'm not missing anybody that says something. So we're going to be chapter 5 tonight. We're going to power through what I did. I am good at using my resources, and Madison's not here to be mad at me for this. But what I did was I combed through what I would normally have used for our study, which would have taken 600 hours, and boiled it down to what I was willing to get out of it, to dilute out. And then I gave it to ChatGPT, and I said, make this 30 minutes long. And so that's what my hope is that I took that then and then reformatted it for my own notes, and that's what we've got. I wasn't able to print my notes, so I'm going to use my phone, so that might be a little awkward too, but nevertheless, we've got the slide. Everything should be normal. I don't have notes for you if you're watching online. Probably for the rest of this semester, you're just going to have to, and I'm calling this semester, you're going to have to just take notes on your own. So sorry about that. It's just the way it's going to be, because it's a lot of extra work to make those little papers.
Millennials and Gen Zs.
So there'll be enough content on the screen that I think that you will be able to take notes that are functional. That will be fine. The only other housekeeping thing that I will mention before we took spring break last week, if you want to call it that, for this little study, starting into the second half. We're going to go 8 more weeks. So this is week 9, so we will finish on week 16, which is I think that lands us the last week of April, first week of May. It's somewhere in there, and so that would be perfect in my opinion. Before school gets out, before the craziness of May happens, we cut this off. People don't have to worry about Tuesday night stuff for a few months. We'll be back in August. I think that's all I was going to say. Also, I do have something else to say. This is going to probably frustrate people, maybe only half the room. This is the last time we're going to be at my house this semester. Next week, we're going to move back to the church. I am sick of being here. Mostly because my goal for this is for it to be bigger than what can fit in my house. And so we will be at the tent, just like we were last fall. The weather will be nice again. We will make that happen there. That's the plan. Cool? Amazing. All right, week 9. That's my phone number. If you can't reach me because I don't have the chat in front of me, text me. Are there any questions before we start now that I ranted about? Chapter 5 introduces a problem. There's a scroll and it's sealed, and it is apparent that no one can open it. That's the situation that we find ourselves in, and we're going to read it in just a second, so don't get stressed out. But that's where we are at when we get to chapter 5. There's a sealed scroll with a bunch of seals, and no one can open it. And so the question that this is going to answer, this chapter, is who is worthy to carry out God's plan for history? Highlighted, I bolded worthy, and that, so I don't know if a yellow highlighter will work on this screen. Oh my goodness gracious, that's not it. That is where I just highlighted it more. Okay. So yeah, the question we're going to answer tonight, and really with this chapter, is who is worthy to carry out God's plan for
What
history.
chapter was it again, huh?
Chapter 5.
Thank you.
We are in chapter that is a 5, believe it or not. Oh, there you go, chapter 5. All right, let's read it. Chapter 5, starting in verse 1. Then I saw in the right hand of the one seated on the throne a scroll with writing on both sides, sealed with 7 seals. I also saw a mighty angel proclaiming with a loud voice, "Who is worthy to open the scroll and break its seals?" But no one in heaven or on earth or under the earth was able to open the scroll or even to look in it. I wept and wept because no one was found worthy to open the scroll or even to look in it. Then one of the elders said to me, "Do not weep. Look, the Lion from the tribe of Judah, the Root of David, has conquered so that he is able to open the scroll and its 7 seals." Then I saw one like a slaughtered lamb, standing in the midst of the throne, and the 4 living creatures and among the elders. He had 7 horns and 7 eyes, which are the 7 spirits of God sent into all the earth. He went and took the scroll out of the right hand of the one seated on the throne. When he took the scroll, the 4 living creatures and the 24 elders fell down before the Lamb. Each one had a harp and golden bowls filled with incense, which are the prayers of the saints. And they sang a new song, "You are worthy to take the scroll and to open its seals, because you were slaughtered and you purchased people for God by your blood from every tribe and language and people and nation. You made them a kingdom and priests to our God, and they will reign on the earth." Then I looked and heard the voice of many angels around the throne, and also of the living creatures and of the elders. Their number was countless thousands, plus thousands of thousands. They said with a loud voice, "Worthy is the Lamb who was slaughtered to receive power and riches and wisdom and strength and honor and glory and blessing." I heard every creature in heaven, on earth, under the earth, on the sea, and everything in them say, "Blessing and honor and glory and power be to the one seated on the throne and to the Lamb forever and ever." The 4 living creatures said, "Amen," and the elders fell down and worshipped. Anything stand out? Just said I don't have a slide for it, but did anything pop out to you?
Lots of phrases. Slaughtered lamb.
Mm.
That phrase, slaughtered lamb. That's not a pretty little sweet
Right.
furry lamb. That's a bloody gory mess.
Yeah.
The 7 horns and the 7 seals.
Okay. So we're seeing some 7. If you've been paying attention before, you know that 7's a big deal. Whoops. Yeah. Yeah, 7 big. Yeah. Whoa, that was not a circle. Okay. And start with this. Our verse 1. It says that there's a scroll with writing on both sides, and it's sealed with 7 seals. The first thing I want to point out to you is that this is what a scroll should. If you see someone talking about biblical scroll stuff, and the scroll is up and down, they are silly. Okay, that's all. They're not dumb or nothing. I'm not going to go that far, but they're silly boys. Okay, scrolls are side to side like this. That's why I like the. Right, it's not Lord Farquaad, hear ye, come to the castle or whatever. I wanted to say the quote that guy said. But anyway, the scroll likely represents God's plan, his plan for judgment, redemption. I'm trying to read my notes because it's super small. The fact that it's written on both sides suggests that it's completeness, like that it is complete, like how it's the full plan is all there. It's written on both sides because it's the whole full story. There's nothing left to write. It's fully covered. The scroll is completely covered in some sort of text. It alludes to 3 different Old Testament texts. We can see Ezekiel 2:9 Daniel 12:4. I wrote Daniel 12:4 down here. But you, Daniel, keep these words secret and seal the book until the time of the end. So it's that this book that's sealed until the end. This is potentially that drawing on that idea. In the Ezekiel passage, Ezekiel receives a scroll that's also written on both sides. And in Isaiah, I believe Ezekiel eats that scroll. But anyway, Isaiah 29:11 is also a sealed scroll that cannot be read. So John is drawn on these texts to show that God's purposes have been written. God's purpose has been written long before now, long before this writing, but it must be revealed and it needs to be enacted through Jesus and through his. Well, we're going to see what he's done. And in the symbolism of the number that Joseph pointed out, the 7 seals represent perfect or complete authority. So it requires perfect or complete authority, or like to be fully, completely, perfectly worthy to access it as well. How are we feeling out there? The stuff that I'm going to say out loud is going to just be additional stuff. If you get the notes, I try to like, if it's on this, that's some big highlighted stuff, and I'm just like filling it with more stuff. So if you can get what's on the screen, you're doing fine. No one in heaven or on earth or under the earth was able to open the scroll or even to look in it. And so this is not asking who is strong enough to do it. It's asking who is worthy. Again, we're bringing that word. Who is worthy, and then extra points if you know the name of the tamer. Even more extra points if you can actually say it well, because I don't even know if I can. So the key point is that the question is not who is strong enough. The question is who is worthy. The problem is that is moral and spiritual. So the problem is moral and spiritual worthiness. It's not just about having the power to do it. It's about having the moral and spiritual worthiness to do it. And so the result, verse 3 says that no one in heaven or earth or under the earth can open it. No one. And this shows the complete inability of creation to carry out God's redemptive plan by themselves. I think it's like, is it like something weird like this?
Yeah.
Mjolnir or something like
Mjolnir.
that. Is it like that? I don't think that's spelling right, but forget that. Internet. Sorry, I wrote that. Like offending some pagan weirdo watching this right now. You're not a weirdo.
But you do need Jesus.
But also, don't worship Thor because
Yeah. Yeah.
are we good out there?
Yeah.
So John wept and wept. It says John's tears show that without someone worthy, all of these things, God's justice is not going to be fulfilled. Evil will not come. So that John is upset because he so far has no awareness or no idea what is he's this whole thing is unfolding in front of him. He's like, who is going to carry forth God's plan to redeem humanity? I think this is off topic and not really something in my notes, but I think this also speaks to that idea that this is not a future thing, because we know that Jesus already has been fulfilling. Like, this is a thing that is happening, been actively happening. And so whatever John is seeing here, I don't think is something that was like taking place down the road. He's seeing that Jesus is the one that takes on the mission of God to some degree. That's how I can see it here, but maybe I'm wrong. So John's tears show without someone worthy, evil won't be judged, redemption can't be completed, and history will remain unsolved. And this is John over here crying. Why is it so big? tribe of Judah. So this is pretty quickly obvious. So obviously we know the tribe of Judah. This is speaking to Judah from the line of Jacob. In Genesis 49, 9 and 10, Jacob prophesies that the ruler will come from the tribe of Judah, and he describes him as a lion. When he's giving all, well, I won't say blessings, because not all of them really get blessed, but when he's, like, his final words. And in Isaiah 11, 1 and 10, the Messiah is the root of David, who will rule the nation. That's what it's talking about. And so these Old Testament promises, they point to a powerful, and these are the reasons, some of these things right here, specifically like these two passages, or three passages technically, are the reason why everybody in Israel was expecting some guy to show up who is some conquering king, and they had no concept of the fact that who we're gonna see Jesus be. Really, John's even gonna get like a rude awakening here in a second. Or if you remember, we've already read it, but it's a crown, believe it or not. And so at this moment, if you're reading through Revelation, at this moment, if you stopped right here, you're like, oh, the line from the tribe of Judah, this is about to be some bad, conquering, militaristic, warrior Messiah guy. And then what John sees next is a slaughtered lamb, and this is not a slaughtered lamb, this is just a regular lamb. Just here. Now he's slaughtered. Yeah, this might be a little morbid now, actually. That's his tongue, I guess. I don't know. Anyway, this is one of the most shocking moments in the entire Bible, because it's one of these, like, and it does it a couple times, where it does this, like, well, right here, this first thing I put, John hears about a lion. They said, look, here's the lion of the tribe of Judah, but then he turns, and what he sees is a lamb that's been slaughtered. He hears it's a lion, and he sees a lamb. In this pattern, it's going to happen somewhere else too. We're going to see another in chapter 4, or chapter 7, excuse me. John hears, it's like, here's the 144,000, and then when he turns and he sees, it's a great multitude, which is why 144,000 is not literal. I'm talking to you, you know who you are. I'm looking at the camera, not the room. I'm looking at the
I realized that after I was like, is he talking to
I'm
me?
talking to very specific people. Anyway, they are watching this, if I'm guessing. But regardless,
I hope so.
I hope they are. So what this means is that Jesus conquers not by violence, but by sacrifice. He is the lion, but the lion doesn't. The lion is working as a lamb. It looks as a lamb.
That's good.
The lion conquers as a lamb. Jesus wins victory through sacrifice. And in the Old Testament allusions, I've got a few of them in there. Isaiah 53:7, Exodus 12, Jeremiah 11:19. 53:7 is written down there. It says, he was oppressed and afflicted, yet he did not open his mouth. Like a lamb led to slaughter, and like a sheep silent before her shearers, he did not open his mouth. Exodus 12 is about the Passover lamb, if you didn't know. And in Jeremiah 11:19 is, for I was like a docile lamb led to slaughter. I didn't know that they had devised plots against me. There's more you can read through all that. So Jesus wins the victory through sacrifice. And that's really the key to the whole dang Bible if you're paying attention.
Not a platform.
Some more sevens. We're still in verse 6, right? Yeah. The 7 horns, and so this is the lamb that has 7 horns and 7 eyes. Obviously, we know this to be about completion, fullness. We talked about that. But these symbols also come from the Old Testament. Horns are a symbol of power and authority, and so having 7 horns is about having complete power or perfect power, full power. And then eyes are like with being able to see or having knowledge or things like that. So the 7 eyes speaking to being perfect or complete in knowledge. What else we got? Some Old Testament, a connection there, Zechariah 4:10. For who despises the day of small things. These seven eyes of the Lord, which scan through the whole earth, will rejoice when they see the ceremonial stone in Zerubbabel's hand. In Revelation says that the seven eyes are the seven spirits of God sent out into all the earth, and so it's meaning that Christ. It's meaning this. This sentence right here. Christ rules with perfect power and perfect knowledge. The lion, who is not a conquering Messiah, crazy guy. He's actually a slaughtered lamb who rules through sacrifice. Has perfect power and perfect knowledge. And if you've heard me get a little ranty about this, that is the essence of meekness. It's power under control. It's having the capacity to be destructive and powerful and knowledgeable, and because knowledge is power. It's having the capacity to do that, but being willing to keep yourself under control. That's like this is the essence of meekness. That's not part of this, but something.
No, but that's good.
Did everybody have everything? Sorry. I got really lazy with this little graphic, but this is like he goes. So the lamb goes up and he approaches God's throne and takes the scroll. Is what it says. When he took the scroll, he goes up to God's throne and he takes the scroll. And this is a big deal because the lamb is approaching God's throne. And in like the second sentence it says, in Jewish thought, approaching God's throne this way is an indication of divine authority. Only God Himself, or yeah, I'm just going to leave it there. Only God Himself can just approach the throne without like asking permission, basically, or needing some sort of permission. So the lamb is sharing in God's rule. There's a connection there, a divine connection happening between the two of us. I guess I could have made it look like a lamb was walking instead of a man. That would have made more sense. But this isn't even accurate because it should be like. Now it's actually God's throne. Only the real ones know what I'm about.
Got it.
Sorry if you're online, just hang tight. I'm trying to let everybody stay together here. It's ugly. The coffee pot is just bubbling in the background.
I know, and it's making my mouth water, so it's okay if I get behind.
Okay, so then that's verse 7, wrapping that up. Verse 8, the 4 living creatures and the 24 elders, they fall down before the Lamb. So worship that was previously directed toward God in chapter 4. So in chapter 4, we saw God being worshipped directly. Now the Lamb is what is being worshipped instead of this. The Old Testament background, some of the connections here. The harps echo temple worship in some writings from Psalm 33:2 and Psalm 98:5, and then the bowls of incense, they represent the prayers of God's people. You've potentially heard that before. Ideally, if you're this far along in our Revelation study, you're pretty somewhat familiar with the Bible in some way, shape, or form. You've probably heard about like the incense of your worship or your prayers arising to the nostrils of God. That's what this is referring to here. The elders are holding this bowl of basically of prayers that are like incense in the nostrils of God. And then it reflects that psalm that's down there at the bottom, 141:2. May my prayer be set before you as incense, the raising of my hands as the evening offering. This also means something really significant about our prayers. It means that our prayers are part of God's as God's plan unfolds, our prayers play a part in it. Obviously, they are bowl as worship, as incense to God. So God's plan includes the things that we pray for.
Yes, it does.
That's a pretty big deal.
It's a huge deal. I just messaged the prayer team about it this week, talking about our prayers. The alabaster box are compared to the alabaster box. Sorry.
No, it's good. Um, yeah, you're gonna be behind for sure because you're distracted over alabaster box. This is what Aaron was just talking about. If you're listening online and wondering what they're
Oh,
actually
yeah.
singing, did I spell that right?
Alabastor.
Oh, O-R, alabaster tour.
Your coffee's really strong. I had to kill it just a little bit.
It might have too many
Otherwise-
scoops, if I'm being honest. Too many things were happening and I lost count. 5 is a big number.
Right.
Great. Okay, so a new song. That's what it says, that they're singing a new song. The Old Testament allusions to this is Psalm 96, Psalm 98, and Psalm 144. The same new song language appears in all 3 of those songs. A new song is a celebration, like of a new act of salvation that's coming. So that's a big deal. And in Christ is worthy because of all these reasons. It gives all of these reasons that Christ is worthy to, or the Lamb is worthy to open the scroll. That he was slain, and he redeemed people by his blood, and he redeemed people, not just Jewish people, take note. He redeemed people from every tribe, language, people, and nation. And this is a fulfillment of some prophetic stuff from Daniel 7:14 and from Exodus 19:6, where it says, "You will be my kingdom of priests, my holy nation." These are the words that you are to say to the Israelites. This is where God is saying, "You all will be my kingdom of priests." Obviously, we know that doesn't work out because Israel kind of comes up short in a bunch of chunks, but the point is that believers now share in the kingdom of God. I think we're still in. No, where's verse 11? That is not accurate. This is all. I didn't change these. 5, 11. My bad. Heard the voice of many angels. Their number was countless thousands plus thousands of thousands. The Greek phrase is myriads of myriads and thousands of thousands. And so a myriad is 10,000. A myriad is 10,000. This expression that John uses comes, this myriads of myriads, thousands of thousands, where's it at? There we go. This comes directly from this, where we see a river of fire was flowing, coming out from his presence. Thousands upon thousands served him. 10,000 times 10,000 stood before him. The court was convened and the books were opened. Thousands upon thousands. What are you doing?
I was trying to be quiet. Can I get some ice?
I tried that too, and it was like freaking stuck.
And
Yeah, y'all are the most distracted people I've ever seen in my life.
Tuesday night.
All of this is to speak to this. It's meaning that John is not giving some precise mathematical count. It means that he is describing an uncountable heavenly multitude. He's not saying that it's literally 10,000 times 10,000, which is nobody knows. Okay, it's meaning that he is describing that there are literally there's so many people you can't even tell. It's myriads and myriads and myriads of people. And the point is that it's everybody, all of heaven. The entirety of heaven is joining together to worship the Lamb. There's no division in heaven. It is everybody all at once doing their thing. Worthy is the lamb who was slaughtered. What are the attributes that are given to the lamb? You have to use your Bible for this.
7 horns and 7 eyes.
The attributes. What are the things that are just how he is described? There's 7 of them.
Welcome to Tuesday night Bible study, guys.
It's not normally like this. All you teenagers are being distracted.
Are you talking like power, riches, wisdom, strength,
Yeah,
and honor?
yeah.
Sorry.
Start over.
Power and riches and wisdom and strength and honor and glory and blessing forever and ever. Amen.
Yeah. 7 attributes that are given to the Lamb. Power, wealth, wisdom, strength, honor, glory, blessing. So it's obviously 7 because it's symbolizing complete worthiness. We've talked about this already. It required complete worthiness because it required 7 seals to be broken. And now we see that Jesus has, the Lamb has complete worthiness based upon these attributes that are assigned to him. Christ deserves all possible praise because he is completely worthy. Oh, my bad. Then we see every creature in heaven, on earth, under the earth, on the sea, and everything in the sea. Everything. So that it's right there. That if you wanted to write down one thing, just stick this whole thing in this box. It says, verse 13, universal worship is taking place. That's what it is. All of creation is acknowledging Christ's authority over the earth, over everything. And this fulfills Psalm 148, which is a psalm that talks about all creation praising God. It also is an echo of it's Philippians, and we're going to see if I can spell Philippians in front of the whole internet real quick. It is Philippians. I want to say it's 2:10, but it talks about every knee will bow. I would tell you if the for sure answer if I had it in my notes, but I don't see it, so I thought I had it. How we doing? You with me?
Mm-hmm.
The elders, they fell down in worship. So the chapter, this is how it ends. This is verse 14, and it ends with worship. It's where we're going to leave this whole conversation off. History is controlled. The entirety of heaven is worshiping the Lamb who was slain, and that is who is in control of all of history. I'll say. say Amen, and then the elders fall down and worship, it says. Riley frantically writing. Just making sure you're still with us.
Yes. I'm literally fighting for my life over here.
Good?
Mhm.
So here's the big idea to wrap up chapter 5. Jesus conquers as a lamb. That's like if you just wrote, oh, that's not what I would try to do. Sorry. Just drop it and then do that. Conquers lamb. The world wants to use violence to conquer, but the lamb, but Jesus conquers as a lamb, as a what was the word?
Lion.
Slaughtered lamb. And so his victory comes through sacrifice, faithfulness, resurrection. And ultimately it means that I'll write this down because it's a good note that I had. I was writing up that tiny little. The lion. That's not it. Dang it. Hopefully you can read that. But the lion wins through the lamb's suffering. Requires both. Everybody's there? Sweet. So now, if you don't know this, my original plan for this, the way that this Bible study was supposed to be formatted, and was talking to Aaron about this the other night, and so it made me think I need to go back, even though we're in this setting, I need to go back to my original plan because that's what I wanted it to look like. My goal for it is on a Tuesday night to be at the church, and for anybody and everybody who would ever want to come in our church, not in our church, literally everybody that wants to come can come and sit down and do this. And then at the end, we break into small groups, and everybody goes and we do this for 30 minutes, and then we go to do small groups for 30 minutes, and then we go home. And that was my original plan when we did the How to Study the Bible last semester. And so I'm going to try to resort back to that. And so the rest of the time, we are already in a small group. So there's obviously, I'm not going to divide us up 3 and 3, well, 3 and 4, whatever. So we're just going to talk. I've got a few questions. Some of them are probably easier or not, I don't know. And so we're just going to talk through them together. The first one is, the lion conquers by being a lamb. Where in your life is God calling you to respond with sacrificial love instead of force or control? Well, I'm a parent of a 3-year-old, so I can, yeah, I was like, you name it, buddy, I don't know.
It's too personal.
Yeah. It's tough. Well, I figured it out. I'm not going to go into any details, but I figured out some force or control issues Sunday, I'll tell you that. Not in the morning. Not Sunday morning, nothing like church related, but anyway. So I know there's at least one. I know that. But anyway.
I mean, do you want us to share?
If you're willing to, I guess. They probably can't really hear you on the internet too well, but
I know.
I don't have a microphone out there, but
No.
my easy one would just be parenting is for sure one of those areas where I need to be better at. Yes, I'm in Because sacrificial love even means something different than
Being a teacher also lends itself to that arena. Because teachers often want to be a student's friend, and some of them mess that up. You can still establish boundaries.
yeah.
I don't know if control, I guess you would say control. But still have love.
Yeah.
And even sacrificial love, because they want to learn about as much as I want to teach sometimes.
Well, and that comes to like sacrificing maybe your favorite way of instructing or your favorite way of just anything you do to instead of forcing someone to learn your way, you sacrifice a little bit because you love them and care more about their education and your preference.
And the way I want to teach it. Yeah, that's good.
I think of like,
You don't want to force people to make the right coffee decisions.
no, I was gonna say I think of like friendships, but
That's good.
not like, not when things are just good, but maybe in friendships where like a friend is like struggling in sin.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Because sometimes you want to be like, what are you doing? But
Yeah.
I think instead, like, sacrificial love is usually the better way to go. Not always. I think it's situational, but as someone who's single and not a parent, that's what I think of is my
Friendship is the first thing I went to.
Yeah.
Actually, leadership and friendship.
Right.
Yeah.
Is the first thing I thought about, but I didn't want to talk about it, so I skipped it.
Yeah. And I think sacrificial love, living that way, is just like looking like Jesus. Obviously, He loves us with sacrificial love the best.
Yeah. And sacrificial love is both willing to it's both willing to like not just hurt somebody for the sake of hurting them, but also willing to say the thing that it's hard to say sometimes. And that's where it comes to like I could force this thing or I could be in control. I think in a friendship situation, you could be in control and like keep that thing from them to try to maintain control of the relationship so it doesn't get out of hand. Like if you're worried, if I say this, they're going to be mad at me for telling them, or if I say this, they're going to think that I'm coming after them. So I keep control of my relationship so that way I don't lose it. But sacrificial love is being like, I care more about you than about maintaining this relationship. Maybe that sounds rough.
Yeah.
But.
True that.
Any other thoughts? You ready for this?
It's a hard question.
Jesus' victory came through faithfulness in suffering. How does that change the way that we think about hardship in our own lives? I'm not playing.
No, it's
these
not
questions.
No, that's not. That's serious, man. Because
These questions aren't playing around. Just like
I'm not like,
there's no even comparison. The troubles that I face in my life are nothing compared to what He did on the cross.
Right.
And I'm not so hedonistic to think that my troubles are even comparable.
Yeah.
They're not.
the weirdest thing that I've noticed this week. This is so stupid, but about hardship, perceived hardship, which is a hilarious joke. But almost every single class comes into the room that I'm subbing in right now. Literally, they walk through the door and complain about either one of or both things: the temperature of the room and the smell of the room.
And the smell.
Every single group. Like that's the first thought. You walk into this new space, you have the opportunity to just like set the tone of your next hour of your life with just like positive thoughts and let's do this thing and learn something or whatever. And you think, this sucks, it smells bad, it's uncomfortable, I'm miserable, my life sucks because it's hot in here. Like, okay, I don't know.
Go to a third world country, okay?
It's just like, and they're teenagers, so like, whatever, it's not that big of a deal. But it's a reflection of like they're coming. It's not long, and they're going to be regular people who are in our regular world. Some of
Complaining
'em
about the
right here.
temperature.
I feel like the adults do that too, though.
Yes, they do, Jim.
Oh, don't.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
not. That is just what I've seen the past few days. So that is just fresh off of my mind. Don't get me wrong.
I tell the children at the first day of school, though, I will never turn the heat on in this classroom. Ever. I don't care if it's 2 degrees outside. The heat will not be on in this room. So if you don't like it, wear a coat.
Wait, do you take your blankets away?
Yes, that's stupid and gross. I'm sorry, I think the blanket scene
Wear a
is
coat.
gross. Yeah, get under my blanket with me. Stop right now. Do that.
It's just their music.
Yeah.
Ugh, it still gives me major ick. Major.
There's one exception to that.
Wear some long handles.
Okay. Well, there's one exception to that, and that's Miss McCann's room. She's cold-blooded. She likes her room around 70 degrees.
See, we're different. She and I are just different.
Yep.
I'm hot-blooded.
She likes her room to be 70.
I know. I subbed in there. She super glued or hot glued the
A little covering
casing
plate,
so that it just stays on 74 degrees.
and she sets it where it turns down to
Specifically?
60
I opened
on
the
the
window.
weekends. Then it kicks back up to 70 then Monday,
What?
and then it stays at 70 for the rest of the week.
I opened the window.
So, any other thoughts?
Sorry.
How does that
Temperature
change
is
the way
not-
we think?
Temperature is not a suffering.
So kind of happen.
I think though that's the
Couple of
the
things.
reality of where we
Broken
are in
case
our world has our American culture has become so soft. I don't know a better word to say for that.
Soft as
But rats.
But
Yeah.
that is the epitome of a hard day for us is it being too hot. Like it's 75 degrees in here, and like that's the epitome of a hard day. Is like it was too hot or too cold, or I didn't get a perfect 8 hours of sleep on a $3,000 mattress or something like that. Like that's the kind of stuff that rules our world. My mattress is not $3,000 for that. Not even close. Anyway, if Christ truly deserves all power, wealth, wisdom, strength, honor, glory, and praise, how might that affect how we spend our time, money, and energy? Everybody just looked at me.
It's because when I was young, I didn't think, younger, I didn't think that way.
No.
It was all about me. We're back to that whole Western Americanized, I lived my life for me.
Yeah.
And that's not what we should be doing.
Right.
And there was a great shift in my life. And you could actually tell by watching where I spent my time,
Mhm.
where I spent my money, what the
Right.
energy of my life was spent doing. And so, yeah, we are known by our fruit. You take the first part of that question away and look at how you spend your time, your money, and your energy. Your time is a big deal. That was a big eye-opener in Sunday school. Angie Homan brought a little wheel, and it was 24 hours in a day. And she blocked it out, and she wanted us to take it home and block it out. How do you spend your time? What are you spending your time on? And it was very eye-opening.
Mhm.
And you get a little notification every week on how much time you spend on your phone. That in itself should be,
Couple blinks.
yeah.
Whatever that means, but yeah.
That was my yoinks. Yikes. Holy free holies.
Great. How does this chapter make you think about, I don't know what the phrasing is of this. How does this chapter make you think about power and leadership? Or maybe what think about power and leadership after reading this chapter? Either way.
Access to the throne comes through sacrifice. That's Christ is worthy because of who he is. But he didn't storm the castle gates with an army and weaponry. He didn't storm the castle gates.
Yeah.
He served and
I'm-
sacrificed.
The thing that blows my mind a little bit to think about that is that the reason that is what qualifies as worthiness is that humanity's lean is away from that. Like just the general idea of living for the sake of someone else.
Mm.
That just that is like the epitome of who Christ was, and humanity for hundreds, thousands of years drop the ball. Like that's such a. It seems like that should be such a simple thing to figure out. That just kind of blows my mind a little bit. I like that the throne thing. I think that also we were talking about the prayers being important to to the God's plan. I would wonder then if this isn't happening in your life, where are your prayers going? Prayers that aren't sacrificial, are they part of God's plan? And I got in big trouble in young adult Sunday school when we first started it. I was leading those discussions, and I said something, and this is long, like 3 years ago now, and I had said something. There was talked about things we needed prayer for, and it was this like, and I didn't mean it the way it come out probably. I don't know, maybe I did, but I don't now. But I did, I don't remember how I thought about it then. But it was like about getting a certain job, like I need to be prayed for this certain job, and my thought was like, is what you're doing now, like, is that a way are you going to honor God through that, or like why are we praying for you to have that job? In what way is that benefiting the kingdom? Like, what is your aim? Are your prayers aimed at, I just want a better job so I can make more money for me and my, like, that's great, but I feel like that's, and I'm not trying to deter people. Pray, it says pray without ceasing, pray everything, pray all the time.
And pray about everything.
But do you go to God in prayer sacrificially or selfishly? With self-motivation, yeah. Do you go to God in prayer saying, this is what I'm asking for, but if it's not your will, then it's okay. Like that's the sacrifice. It's like
Right.
you're whether or not it makes it to the throne is dependent upon whether or not you're willing to be told no, I would say.
Well, and
Or just receive what the answer is regardless. So it doesn't even matter what the answer is. But
and he looks on our heart
yeah.
when we are
Yeah.
he looks at our intentions, and I know that there have been selfish prayers in my life, and I look back and I'm like, I'm sorry about that, Lord. I'm glad you didn't answer that the way I thought it needed to be answered, and I'm sorry, and be repentant. I think that is a huge thing that our culture is missing today, is repentance.
I had a little conversation with Stephanie on Monday, and it's just a good reminder all the time that kind of thing in the back of your mind, that repentance is like a daily thing. It's like it has to be intentional.
Mm-hmm.
It cannot be a one time I said I'm sorry, I know it feels like it's a cliche to say that, and I feel like that comes up so much in a church conversation, but it is wildly important to your life as a disciple to be daily intentionally repentant, trying to escape your flesh as much as possible.
Right.
Not your flesh, but your sinful nature as well.
But because of what he did,
Right.
there's all those things that you you had listed on that 2 questions ago. He is worthy of this. All
Yeah.
praise, all glory, all honor. Because of that,
Right.
we got to keep our minds lined up, and it does involve repentance.
We already talked about this a little too much probably, but what does it mean that our prayers as believers are seen as incense before God? Do you have any additional thoughts of that we haven't said?
Fragrant. Incense is fragrant.
Right.
And so I think that those sacrificial prayers, and I don't know. When it's a hard situation.
I also think, because what I think of with, I feel like I've talked too much, but what I also think of is like you said, it's this incense, this aroma that's rising, and that idea comes from the sacrificial system where these animals were burned, and that smell rose to heaven. And I think like there are different forms of the sacrifices too, and so maybe like that, the specific location or condition you're in could be different sacrifices of prayer. I don't know. That seems silly. That's probably reaching a little bit, but something to think about.
But like, do selfish prayers still produce incense to God? Question mark.
Question mark. I don't know.
I don't know either.
And I wasn't really meaning the selfish ones. I'm meaning like, when I say different sacrifices, I mean like whether you're in your private alone time closet space or you're just like in the movement of your life, stopping and praying through a day, or if you're your first prayer when you wake up, like those different not like you're just praying for yourself, but like when you're being sacrificially prayerful, there's different types of that.
Right, like when
Right.
we've done the 24 hours of prayer.
Right.
I mean, that's you're blocking out big time.
Right.
Or you say, I'm gonna spend the night in the tent before there's any locks or nothing.
Literally nothing.
Nothing. There was nothing, no heat, nothing. And I said, I'm praying, I'm gonna spend the night at the tent, and we are gonna pray before our Easter service last year. It was
Are you
Me?
gonna do that again this year?
Tracy. Okay. Me and Tracy spent the night. Bailey spent the night. There were like 5 of us. I think Jess Rodden she went home, but she was there till like 11 o'clock. Jill Sage spent the night, and Chastity Ann.
I did not say that.
That's kind of fun.
But we met there at 7 p.m. and everybody prayed. I mean, it was just this really, I don't know, and we've done it a few times in prayer team and invited others to come, but like people were reading scripture over the tent, people were walking around the tent, people were walking outside. There's a group of us now who are praying over the property, and so we every day of the week the property is being prayed over, marched around, we're circling it with prayer and scripture, and we're believing for some big stuff. But it is sacrificial prayer, because I said I made a commitment. I said I was going to go and I'm going to pray it, and so we go and we do it.
Right.
I don't know.
Yeah.
But there's different kinds of prayer. Just what you were talking about,
Yeah.
Casey.
how should the reality of universal worship of Christ affect our daily lives? So those are kind of we've kind of talked about a couple of these in our other areas.
I really want to just bust out and sing that song, but I don't sing well, so there's that.
I kind of think that a little thing like the universal, so like all of heaven is already in worship of Christ, and it says that everyone will eventually, regardless of where they are now. And so I think of like the idea of the stones will cry out, if I don't, the stones will, whatever. And that like that's the way it should affect my daily life is somebody's gonna do it. I don't know. The world, the essence of oh my gosh, this gets too far into too many things, but the idea of us being the kingdom of priests, our literal baseline job was to be this priestly role was for us to reflect God's love and his image out into the world, and then vice versa, reflect the worship and what is creation back to him in a gratitude, thanksgiving, thankful way. And that's trying to get back to that. That's the way our daily life should look like, is how can we be better mirrors, I guess. That was me just brain dumping my thoughts, just so you know. That was not real coherent, but
No, and I think that goes hand in hand in like remembering him in our everyday things, like the mundane. Like he's still in it, and he's still worthy, and he's still holy. But most of the time, like we try to like separate it. Like I have to go to work, but then when I come home, I love Jesus. You know what I'm saying?
right. What's that thing that didn't Rick just talk about that? I love Jesus, but I cuss a little. Like is,
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
is Jesus in your cussing box?
Freaked out about that one.
We'll quit it.
Not me, he did.
Oh. Yeah. He took it first.
I'm blaming.
Someone bought that shirt for me. That's why.
Oh, that makes more sense.
Yeah.
That's why I took it personally.
Well, I don't even have it anymore because I don't cuss.
Anyway, yeah.
Woo!
Us don't cuss no more.
Remember, the Lord is not cussing.
That's right. No unwholesome talk.
Which part of this chapter personally challenges you the most? Everyone has to answer something, including the ones who are under 18.
Man.
Which part of Revelation chapter 5 challenges you the most? Now everybody's got to go back to read that.
I know.
How do you do it?
You could
I said little grits, but they're not little.
What does that even?
I don't think any of them are hard.
What?
Okay, I used a very old TV show from the 70s called Mel's Diner. No, Alice. Alice. And then one of the waitresses always said, "Kiss my grits." And then I made a reference that grits were like to my butt, but I shouldn't have done that.
Which part of this chapter
Sorry.
challenges you?
I don't
the
know what
most
to say.
personally? You don't have to give me your deepest theological thought here. I'm just saying, like, what if when you think back to it, is there something that immediately comes into your mind? That's what I'm trying to get from you. Hey, that's not a children's book. Anyway,
Anyway. Yeah, I think
I'm
that's
putting less self at that word.
less so, yeah. Yeah.
What do you think, Joseph? I see you looking at me. What popped out to you that you're gonna that you've got thinking in your brain? What about you?
I had.
I wasn't meaning. I didn't think this would stump the whole
Repeat the
class
question.
here.
I'm not.
It's written on the screen.
I,
You're not having any more food until you answer this question.
what stands out to me is
I'm not kidding.
Jesus is the answer to the plan.
Right.
Jesus
Yeah.
is the answer to the plan.
Yes.
And like you said earlier, the whole book points to him.
Right. And I cannot make my own way.
What did I just write?
I cannot make my own plan.
What she said.
Why do I not know how to spell answer?
A-N-S-W.
Yeah, I was like, what? That's how I wrote it the first time, but it didn't look right. All right, Braylee, what do you think?
I was going for Tuesday.
Or
She's
Tuesday.
ready.
You going first or your mom?
Can I get something sweet after?
You can have anything you want in this whole house if you tell me your answer.
Oh, bet. Okay, let my mother go first so I can think on this.
No. Okay, I mean, no. You can't say anything she says
Here,
though.
you
So
need the Bible.
Yes.
There you go. It was
Well, I don't want to use it.
Some of this stuff.
Just, what they were singing. Blessing and honor and glory and power belong to the one sitting on the throne and to the Lamb forever and ever.
I know, it's so good.
why are you crying?
I don't know, man.
I was earlier. I had to kind of tune it out because I was like, I get emotional about this stuff.
It's been a weird day.
So the new song that they sing is your challenge.
But it's just kind of a reminder. It's where's the highlighter? All the blessing, all the honor, and all the glory, all the power belongs to him. So it just makes me want to do better.
Actually, to think about that, is that how it words it too?
Yeah.
If somebody's online, they're like, this is the most annoying. They're just sitting in silence.
Sorry.
Maybe come.
Yeah, true that.
Okay, Joseph, do you have something?
Yeah. To not be forceful and to not be like the lion and be all combative, but be like the lamb who was sacrificial and basically was the perfect sacrifice that atoned all sin.
Screw that. All right, Braylee.
Hold on, I'm talking it out.
You and Gavin are the only ones left.
Good though.
You've had like 10.
Hey, man. He's gonna cheat off of me now.
Basically, the whole thing of this is like who's
So we're just reading the whole thing of Revelation, right? That's what's going on. Like we're reviewing.
Okay, I
Have you
got
been
my
here this
thing.
whole
Why are they in Revelation?
Because this is the revelation. This is the whole study. This is the ninth week of
Yes, we
Revelation.
are. That's all I need to know.
What are you even talking about? Where have you been this whole time?
Locked in.
Okay, I got my
Not
answer.
even.
Okay, bring it on.
Okay, I'm gonna read 4 through 5.
I already know what it says. Tell me how it challenges you.
It's just
She's like, I don't know what you just said.
Okay, so knowing that, how to remember him
Yeah,
when things are
tough. To remember him when things are tough, and yeah.
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 Aw, shut it.
Violet, shh.
Gavin, you got anything?
I put
Can I
mine
have
verse 2
anything
and
sweet
3
now?
of Revelation 5. And I saw a strong angel who shouted out with a loud voice, who is worthy to break the seals of the scroll and open it. Or who is worthy to break the seals and notice it.
Yeah, so
I think that it affects my life knowing that even if I'm not worthy, God's grace still allows me to be open the scrolls, aka go to heaven, but like even though I'm not worthy of it, God allows me to with his grace.
okay, so you're saying you're okay. So you're grateful that Jesus is worthy
Yeah.
because you know that you come up short.
Yeah.
See.
So I get access to every single food item in your house, right?
Yeah, so like, can I have something sweet now?
There's one more question that you could answer if you want to, but I'm gonna cut it off briefly. Where do you see the world pursuing lion-like power instead of lamb-like sacrifice? I should have put that first, but I thought Joseph actually kind of
Everywhere.
spoke to.
Everywhere.
That's a cop out.
Dun dun dun.
Everybody who's looking for a platform.
Yep.
Yeah.
Or like, I mean, even like leaders.
Joseph Stalin.
Yeah.
Leaders that like
That's so specific, Joseph. He said specifically Joseph Stalin.
This is a live stream.
They can't hear me.
This is a live stream.
They can't hear me.
They usually do say that you're the one that can't hear.
It's my rich baritone.
Yeah. I don't think it's the tone. I think it's the volume. All right. Well, if you're listening online to this, whether it's on Tuesday, March 10th of 2026, or it is in the future, I pray that you are blessed and you have a wonderful week. If you want to answer any of these questions, I would love. I don't care if you watch this in 2036, if YouTube even still exists at that point. Send me your answer to any of these questions. Tell me what you think about these. My phone number is at the beginning of the thing, and maybe it'll be the same, maybe not. But either way, love you, internet. See ya tomorrow if you come.